Hi, today we're looking at Functional Skills Maths Entry Level 3. We've got the Pearson Edexcel exam board. This is set 8 of the practice papers, and we're going to start with the non-calculator section. Question 1. Milo wants to make his house safer. Last year, 127 houses in his town had security cameras. This year, 205 houses have security cameras. How many more houses have security cameras this year than last year? So how many more? So we're looking at the increase, or you can think of it as the difference between these two numbers. And when we're working out the difference, best way to think of it is the larger number minus the smaller number. Now there's different ways you could do it. You could count up from 127, but I'm going to do it as a subtraction, and I'm lining up my hundreds, my tens and my units. So I'm going to start with the units. I'm going to say 5 take away 7, but 7's bigger than 5, so I can't take it away. So what I've got to do, I've got to take one from the next column here, but I've got 0, I've got nothing here, so I'm going to have to go over to the 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one from the 2, so we'll reduce that by 1. So that now becomes a 1. And the 1 that I've taken, I can put here to make this 10. Now we've got something to give to the 5. So we can take 1 away from the 10, so that becomes 9. And the 1 we give to the 5 to make that 15. So now we can say 15, take away 7. So start with 15, and we're going to count back 7. So 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, so we're left with 8 here. Now we've got 9, take away 2, so start with 9, it's going to be 8, 7. And we've got 1, take away 1, so that's just going to be 0. We don't need the 0, we could just write it as 78, but there's nothing wrong with leaving it in. If you want, you could just put 78 to show that's your final answer there. Question 2. There are 126 houses in a street. There are alarm systems in 1/3 of these houses. Milo thinks that 41 houses have an alarm system. Is he correct? Show why you think this. Okay, so what we can do 2 ways. So probably the most obvious way might be to find 1/3 of 126. And then compare it to 41. If you wanted, what you could do instead, if you're less comfortable with the division, you could multiply 41 by 3 and see if it takes you back to this number here. But I'm going to go with the division. So we're going to say 126. We're going to divide that by 3 to get 1/3. And we're going to do that using the bus stop method. So say, does 3 go into 1? Well, no, because 3 is bigger than 1. So what about 3 into 12? Well, let's try our 3 times table. We've got 3, 6, 9, 12. So that goes in 4 times. So we've dealt with these numbers. So now we've just got the 6. Does 3 go into 6? 3, 6. Yes, it goes twice. So we get an answer of 42. Milo thinks the answer should be 41. Well, we can say, well, 42 is not equal to 41. So is he correct? No. And we have got space down here in the answer box, so we can put 42 houses and tick the no. Question 3. Milo buys an alarm system for his house. The system costs £362. Milo pays £32 each month for the system. The final payment is a different amount. What is the greatest number of monthly payments of £32 that Milo needs to pay? How much does Milo pay in the final payment? So again, what we're saying really is, how many times does 32 go into 362? Or in other words, 362 divided by 32. Now, a good way to start might be by thinking, well, we could multiply 32 by 10 to get 320, which isn't too far away. But I'm actually just going to try and do the division. Okay, so I'm going to say, well, let's have 362. And to do the division, we'll do the bus-stop method. Now, this might look a bit strange because we've got a 2-digit number here, but we're saying, well, how many times does 32 go into 3? Well, it doesn't, because 3's smaller than 32. But what about 32 into 36? Well, yeah, 32 is going to go into 36. It's going to go once. And we'll have 33, 34, 35, 36. We're going to have 4 left over. So now we're going to say, well, does 32 go into 42? Well, again, yeah, it's smaller than 42, so it goes into it, and it'll go once. But what's the remainder? So we can say, well, what's 42 minus 32? 2 minus 2 is 0, 4 minus 3 is 1. So we're going to have remainder 10. Now, they just want the greatest number of monthly payments, so they don't really... Oh, actually, they do say how much they pay in the final payment as well. So the number of monthly payments is going to be this here, the 11, and the remainder is going to be the final payment. So we can write those down here. Number of monthly payments, 11, final payment, 10. And they've already put the pound sign in for us. Question 4. Milo buys insurance. He pays £27 each month. How much does Milo pay in total for 12 months of insurance? So we want 27 times 12. 27 lots of 12. Or 12 lots of 27. I'm going to show you 2 ways to do it. We can do it multiplying using the column method. There's more than 2 ways of doing it, but I'm just going to show you 2 ways. So with this way, we'd start with the units and we'd say 2 times 7. So we'd have 7, 14. 4 carry the 1. And then 2 times 2, or 2, 4, plus 1 is 5. Now we move on to the tens. We put a 0 in the unit space. 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 2 is 2. And now we're going to want to add these together. 4 plus 0 is 4. 5 plus 7. Well, let's take the larger number 7 and add on 5. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 2 plus 1 is 3. So we get a total of £324. Now, if you want an alternative, what I'm going to do is I'm going to split it up. So I'm going to say, well, this 12 lots of 27 is the same as 10 lots of 27. And then we would have 2 lots of 27. The reason I'm splitting it this way is because I know when you multiply by 10, you just add a 0 on the end. Now for 2 times 27, we can do that using the column method, but it's easier because we've only got a single digit times a double digit now. So 2 times 7, we've got 7, 14. 2 times 2, 2, 4, add the 1 is 5. So we've got 270 for 10 times 27, 54 for 2 times 27. Then we're going to want to add those together. So 270 plus 54. And we're always lining up the units and the tens and the hundreds if we've got them. So 0 plus 4 is 4. 7 plus 5. Remember, start with 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And 2 plus 1 is 3, which gives us the same answer. And just make sure we write that down on the answer line. And now we're on to the calculator section. Jessie puts alarm systems in houses. The clock shows the time she starts work in the morning. What time does Jessie start work? Use correct time format. Okay, so we'll start with the hour hand, the smaller hand. That's over here. Well, it's gone past the 8. That's the last hour. So it's going to be 8 something. And remember, each of these is 5 minutes. So it's going to be 5. Actually, let's write it on here. That would be 5, 10, 15, 20, just going in my 5 times table, 25, and the minute hand is pointing to 25, so it's going to be 8:25. Now to make it complete, because they've said it's in the morning, it's going to be 8:25 a.m. Question 2. Let's move it up so we can see this is worth 1 mark. So Jessie is looking at a house. Move it up so we can see the question. Okay. The question is, in which direction is Jessie looking? Now this is a multiple choice question, but I'm not going to look at the options. I'm going to try and work it out without, and then we can make sure our answer is there. So, which direction is she looking? So she's looking in this direction. Well, here's my compass, and I know that we've got, for the other directions, you might remember south is opposite north, or you can think never eat shredded wheat, going around clockwise. So if she's looking this way, let's try and map that onto here. That would be here. So it's between east and south. But you never say east-south. You always go to the top or bottom first. In this case, the bottom, so it would be south-east. So let's see if that's an option. Southeast. So we can tick that one. Question 3. The diagram shows how to switch off the electricity in the house. Jessie turns the handle to switch off the electricity. So this is on and we want to get it to off. What fraction does Jessie turn the handle? Well, when we say what fraction, we mean what fraction of the whole circle. Well, from here to here, this is sort of one section of these 4. So basically it's 1/4. You can think of it as a quarter turn. If we were turning it around to here, it would be a half turn. If we're going all the way, it would be a whole turn. But it's just 1/4. And they've asked for it as a fraction. So that's all we need. Question 4. Jessie chooses a control panel for the alarm system. The panels have different shapes. Which shape has exactly 2 right angles? Okay, so a right angle is where 2 edges, I'm going to use my ruler for this, meet perpendicularly. So you can fit a little square in it like that. Let's see, a 90-degree angle. Okay. Now this one's a bit of a trick really, because if you look at it you might think, oh well, these lines are perpendicular, but we haven't got a corner. We've got curvy or a curvy corner. We haven't got straight lines meeting, so it's not going to be exactly 2 right angles. Well, that would be a right angle. So would that. So would that. So would that. We want exactly 2 right angles. Well, this has got 4, so it can't be that one. We've got 2 more to choose from, don't worry. We haven't run out yet. This one, well, we can't fit a square in it. It would fit over, so that one doesn't count. Same on this side. It's not going to fit. And these angles, it's more than the square, so it's not going to work for C. What about D? Well, we've got a right angle here. Right angle here, 1, 2, that's what they want, so we can tick that one. Okay, question 5. Jessie measures the width of the panel, and they've marked width of the panel on here. What is the width of the panel to the nearest centimetre? Okay, so we've got some centimetres written on here, but not all of them. Got 25, 30, 35. So maybe we can try and fill in what these would be. Well, maybe the obvious way is just to try. We don't want to assume anything, but we'll try it. If this is 30, then what about if that's 31, 32, 33, 34, 35? Yeah, that fits. So we can write them all in. And what's the width of the panel to the nearest centimetre? Well, this one is closest to this number here, so it's going to be 33 centimetres. In fact, they've given us an answer line. Whenever they give you an answer line, do use it. Question 6. Jessie has lunch at 1:45 in the afternoon. Which clock shows 1:45 in the afternoon? Okay, so 1:45. So it's not 2 yet. So it's before 2, so the hour is going to be 1. Because it's 2. If you remember on your clock, when you've got 12 and 6, everything on this side, sorry, that should be a 6, not a 0. Everything on this side is past. Everything is on this side is 2. So it's going to be somewhere over this side. 1:45. Well, this is a quarter of a circle, so the hand's going to be pointing over this way. If this is 12, this is 6. This is going to be a 9. Or if you think a quarter of an hour is 15 minutes, we've got 60 minutes on the clock altogether. So we can think 60 minus 15, or maybe we can just think, well, we've got 15, 30, 45. Okay. Other ways to think of it, but hopefully you'll know that a quarter past is 15 minutes, half past is 30, and 1:45 is going to be 45. So 1:45 is going to be a quarter or 15 minutes to 2 o'clock. Now it's in the afternoon, so it's going to be PM. Now these are the options we've got. Now we haven't got AM or PM on there. So what we're going to do is turn it into a 24-hour clock. And what that means is when it's PM, we need to add 12 to the hours. Well, 12 plus 1 is going to make this 13:45. And we don't have the PM now because we've got it in 24-hour time instead. So have we got anything that shows 13:45? Yes. There it is. So where possible with these, even if they're multiple choice, try and work out the answer first and see if it's available. Sometimes looking at the answers before you've worked it out can distract you, or you can manage to convince yourself that a wrong answer's right. Okay, question 7. Jessie has 2 cans of drink and 1 bottle of drink. The cans, we've got 440 millilitres each, and the bottle is 1 litre. Do 2 cans have more drink than 1 bottle? Show why you think this. Now, this type of question comes up very, very regularly, and I often see people not getting the full marks for this because they assume things, and you need to show the examiner everything. Don't assume that they know what you're thinking in your head. So what a lot of people will do is they'll say, okay, well, let's add these two together to get the total of these 2 cans. And that's absolutely fine. So 440 plus 440, 0 plus 0 is 0, 4 plus 4 is 8. And again, and then they'll say, well, 800 millilitres is less than 1 litre, so the answer's no. Okay. Well, that is a correct answer, but you wouldn't get all of the marks for that because we can't just say 800 millilitres is less than 1 litre. We need to get them in the same units. So we need to say, well, what's 1 litre in millilitres? And 1 litre is 1,000 millilitres. Now, because we've written this, we can do the comparison. You don't have to do this little bit, but I like to kind of show 800 is less than 1,000. So that's how we're making our decision. Okay. But what they want to see is 880 millilitres because you've added them together. They want to see that you know that 1 litre is 1,000 millilitres, and then you make the correct decision there. Okay, we've got an answer line for this. So I'd put my 880 millilitres on here, and we will tick no. Jessie puts garden lights at these distances from the house. The distances follow a pattern. What is the next distance in the pattern? Okay, well, what I've forgotten so far on this, or haven't really needed to, is that we can use our calculator for this now. So because we can use our calculator, we can work out, well, what is the difference between each of these numbers? So if we want to find the difference between them, we take the bigger number and subtract the smaller number. So 17 minus 5 gives us a difference of 12. We're adding 12 onto it. What about if we look at the difference between these two? So 29 minus 17. Well, that's 12 again. So the next one, if we're following the same pattern, we're going to add another 12. So we want 29 plus 12, which is going to be 41 metres. And they've already put the M on for us. Question 9. Jessie gets £29.70 for each hour she works. She works for 6 hours on Monday. How much does Jessie get in total on Monday? Okay, so it's £29.70 and it's getting 6 lots of that. Straight to the calculator, 29.7 times 6, 178.2. But because this is money, we need to have a pound sign and we need to have 2 decimal places to make that 20p. Question 10. Round £29.70 to the nearest pound. So, well, what pounds is it between? Well, it's going to be between £29 if we just took the pence off, and the next pound up would be £30. Well, what's halfway between 29 and £30? Well, half of a pound is 50p, so it'd be £29.50. So where does £29.70 come? Well, it's to the right of that, so on this side, so it's going to round up to £30. And for the last part, use the rounded number to check your answer to question 9. So if you remember, for 9, we did £29.70 times 6. That's what we were trying to do. But we're going to use the rounded answer, so we're going to do 30 times 6. Again, we can use the calculator to give us £180. Question 11. Jessie puts these alarm systems in houses. Last year, 134 alarm systems, and this year, 193 alarm systems. Jessie thinks she put more than 340 alarm systems in houses in total. Is she correct? She wants the total, so she's looking at adding these together. Whenever we see total or sum, we're going to add them up. So 134 plus 193 is 327. She thinks she put more than 340. Well, 327 is less than 340, so is she correct? No. Remember, you don't have to write it using these signs. If you're not comfortable with them, that's fine. You can say 327 is less than 340, not a problem. But it's good to kind of get you familiar with these less than and greater than signs. So, our answer, we're going to put what we worked out, which was 327 alarm systems in total. And we decided that no, Jessie is wrong, that they put out more than 340 alarm systems in total. Question 12. Jessie gets these ratings from some customers. So we've got 3.75, 4.25, 4.0, 4.5 and 3.5. Which rating has the highest value? Well, we can look at the whole numbers first. We've got 3, 4, 4, 4 and 3. 4 is greater than 3, so we can rule those out. So we've got 4.25, 4.0 and 4.5. Now we've got different numbers of decimal places. So if we want to make it easy to compare, we can just put a 0 on the end. So now these have both got the same number of decimal places. And because they all start with a 4, really we can just compare the number afterwards. So we've got 25, we've got 0, and we've got 50. Well, 50 is bigger than 25 and 0, so we're going to go with 4.5. Question 13. Jessie has this information about the number of good ratings. In October there were 16 good ratings, in November there were 8, in December there were 14. She wants to show this information on a line graph. Complete the line graph. Okay, so we've not got a lot on here at the moment, but they've done some markings for us. We've got 3 months. Because it's a line graph, what I can do is I'm going to use each of these as one of our months. So this is going to be my October, November and December. And it might be obvious, but we need to say what these are. These are our months. So on our y-axis it's going to be the numbers, so the number of good ratings, and the highest value we've got is 16, so we need to go up to 16. So let's see if we can always start at 0. We could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We run out, we don't get up to 16. So what about if we go up in 2s instead? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Yeah, that works. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. And this was the number we need to put our labels on, so number of good ratings. We want to mark our values on here now. So for October we had 16 good ratings. So here's October. We want to go up to 16. For November we had 8. So here's November. We're going to go up to 8. And for now we're just marking with a cross. And for December we had 14 good ratings. So here's 14. And then to turn it into a completed line graph, you start with the first value, move across to the right, joining them up as you go. There we are. Question 14. The list shows the numbers of customers in the last 5 years. Put these numbers in order, starting with the greatest. So we want the biggest number first. Okay, so 197, 214, well that's bigger. 219, that's even bigger. 204 is smaller, 206 is smaller. So this is our biggest one. Okay, what's the next biggest? Well, actually, we can see only one of them starts with a 100, so that's going to be the smallest. So that's going to be the 5th one. We've got 214, 204, 206, so this is the next biggest. Then 206, then 204. So the reason I number them first is because it's easier for when I then write them in order. So I'm then going to say, well, what's the first one? 219. What's the second one? 214. Third one is 206. Fourth one is 204. And the 5th one is 197. And I've actually got space to put it down here, so I would actually, let's do it. Let's not be lazy. I'm going to write them in here as well. making sure you go from greatest to least. Question 15. The chart shows the number of customers in the first 6 months of this year. Okay, so we've got our months across the bottom and number of customers going up here. Jessie thinks that the total number of customers in February and March was 50. So February and March, 50. Is Jessie correct? Okay, so we don't really care about January or April or May or June. We're just looking at February and March. So for February, we can read across. We want this value. And for March, read across. We want this one. What we've got to work out is what are these numbers? Now this is 20. It'd be very easy to say, oh, well, that's 1 up, so that must be 21. But if that was the case, 21, 22, 23, 24, 30. That doesn't sound right. So instead we can say, well, how many gaps have we got? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gaps. And we've got a difference from 20 to 30. It's a difference of 10. So if we do 10 divided by 5, it means that each of those gaps is worth 2. Or if you want to write them all in, that would be 22, 24, 26, 28. So for February, we got 22. For March, we got 26. 22 plus 26. 22 plus 26 is 48, which is not equal to 50. So is Jessie correct? No. Again, writing our answers on here. 48. No. Obviously, if this was a real exam, you wouldn't have the red "Do not use for live exams" printed over the top, so it'd be easy to find a box to tick. And finally, we got question 16. Jessie counts the type of alarm systems she puts in over a month. These are the results. So she's put in a basic one, a premium one, a standard one, another basic one, and so on. Complete the frequency table for the results. So type of alarm system. Well, we've got basic. We've got premium. And we've got standard. Frequency means how many. So for the basic, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. For premium, we've got 1, 2, 3. And standard, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just make sure we've crossed them all out. Great. So that's the end of the paper. I hope you found it helpful. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on so you know when I add more videos, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.